So earlier today here on the Lower East Side, I attended a meeting with Nycha tenants and tenant leaders to address the mayor's block-by-block plans for the rebuilding and preserving of public housing. The event was hosted by JASMIN Sanchez, a candidate for the NYS State Assembly District 65, who is herself a resident of Nycha. And here's what she had to say about the mayor's plans to rebuild and preserve Nycha.
When I say what do we want, we say fully funded housing. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? Yesterday is right? But yeah, yeah. I also do have something that's written here. So first, I stand here today not just as an advocate, not just as a candidate, and not just as someone speaking on policy, but as someone who comes from this. I am a lifelong resident of public housing, originally from Baruch houses, and now reside in the Valadic, and I know firsthand what is needed for our development and what our residents need. As someone who knows what it means to grow up in public housing, to hear pipes banging through the night, see elevators broken for weeks, to watch seniors climb flights of stairs because the system decided they could wait, and to watch children sleep beside mold while billionaires receive tax breaks a few subway stops away. And I need people to understand something very clearly today. Nycha residents are not the problem. Neglect is the problem. Disinvestment is the problem. Political cowardice is the problem. Nowhere else do we say, you know what, things are not working out. This school has a leak on the roof. Let's privatize this. The roads don't work. Let's cut off any access to it because we're just going to make that private. But when people's lives, when our housing is on the line, black and brown folks' housing stability, they automatically want to privatize. And for decades, public housing residents have been treated like an afterthought in the wealthiest city, in the richest country in the world. And politicians come into our communities every election cycle talking about revitalization, redevelopment, and innovation, while residents are still begging for basic dignity. And now we're being told again that the only way to save Nycha is through privatization. Privatization schemes, debt financing, and handing over pieces of public housing to private interests. So let's say this clearly, housing is not a hedge fund. Our homes are not investment portfolios, and public housing residents are not collateral for somebody else's financial experiment. The people who built this city deserve better than that. We are demanding fully funded public housing. We are demanding repairs without privatization. We are demanding transparency. We are demanding resident power. And we are demanding that people most impacted finally have a seat at the table before decisions are made about their homes and their futures. And we're here today because Mayor Mungani decided to write a block-by-block document and indicated a specific section on Nycha about how to fund Nycha. You know who was not included in any of that planning? Nycha residents were not included in that. And that is the problem. You cannot make decisions for us. Our public housing, once public housing leaves Section 9 protections, residents lose certainty. They lose leverage. They are told to trust systems that have failed them over and over again. And when debt enters the picture, when bond markets enter the picture, when private management enters the picture, residents know exactly who gets protected first when something goes wrong. And that is never the tenant. And I want to speak directly to every Nycha resident, every working family, every young person growing up feeling invisible in this city. You are not asking for too much. You are not unreasonable for wanting clean water, safe elevators, functioning heat, mold-free homes, and parks for your children. That is not a luxury, that is humanity. And what frustrates people, what frustrates Nycha residents, is that we know the money exists. New York finds billions for luxury developers, billions for stadiums, billions for corporations. But suddenly when working class, Black, Latino, immigrant, Asian, elderly, and disabled residents ask for investment, we're told to be realistic, that it is impossible. But what is unrealistic is expecting people to survive another generation of neglect. What is unrealistic is believing communities can thrive while their homes crumble around them. And what is unrealistic is asking residents to continue carrying this city on their back while being denied the dignity they have already earned. Because let me tell you something about Nycha residents. These are the people who kept the city alive during COVID. These are the transit workers, the home care workers, cafeteria workers, the teachers, the non-profit workers, our nurses, delivery workers, and city employees. The people who are called essential every time there is a crisis and forgotten the moment the cameras leave. So today we're saying enough is enough. Enough to broken promises. Enough to balancing budgets on the backs of poor working class people. This city cannot call itself progressive while allowing public housing residents to live in conditions that would spark outrage anywhere else in the world. And despite all of this, despite decades of abandonment, I remain hopeful because I have seen what happens when residents organize. Just like today, we came out throughout the city. Different developments are here. I have seen grandmothers become movement leaders. I have seen young people become advocates. I have seen neighbors protect one another when government fails to do so. That is the spirit of public housing, and I love Nycha. I love public housing. That is the spirit of New York, and that is the spirit that we need right now. Not fear, not division, no backroom deals, courage. The courage to fully fund public housing, the courage to reject privatization masquerading as progress, and the courage to tell the truth that housing is a human right, and the courage to believe that poor and working class people deserve beautiful things too. Not scraps, not leftover, not survival, but dignity. That is what we're fighting for. That is why we are here, and we are not backing down. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you all, because our voices are important and they matter, and we're going to continue to push back against the mayor's plan, and we have to do this collectively. So gracias a todos que vinieron aquí hoy. Okay, gracias. But thank you so much for everyone being here, and yeah, we will be on more things on Nycha.
A little later, I'll be sharing what other TA leaders had to say as well concerning the mayor's plans.